Okay. Well, welcome. My name is Joe Siano. I'm Associate Executive Director with the Oklahoma State School Boards Association. And we appreciate those of you that are jumping on to hear about and hopefully we can answer questions regarding a new initiative that we are really excited about that will, I believe, give us an opportunity to make a real difference in the students that you serve, the communities that you serve, in providing just opportunities for great initiatives. So with me, I'll have my partner here introduce herself, and then we'll get into it.
Hi, I'm Lauren Dow. I'm the Program Director for the Oklahoma Public Schools Foundation and for the Oklahoma Foundation for Excellence. Really happy to be here.
Great. So Lauren's going to be talking with us a little bit in a few minutes about the mechanisms of what we're doing, but I wanted to kind of give a quick introduction.
Before we do that, we welcome your questions today. You have the ability to unmute yourself at any time and ask questions, or you can drop those in the chat and we'll make sure that we get those answered before we wrap up here today.
So a few months ago, it's been a few months now, quite a bit of time, the Oklahoma State School Boards Association and the Oklahoma Foundation for Excellence came together to discuss what can we do as our organizations that really have very, very much the same mission of serving public schools, school families, and public school and communities across the state. What can we do to make a difference? So we came together and created a partnership. And out of that partnership came the Oklahoma Foundation, came the Oklahoma Public School Foundation. The goal of the Oklahoma Public School Foundation and this partnership is to work with school districts across the state, school foundations across the state, to help implement and help you work through the process of the Oklahoma tax credit. Oklahoma tax credit has been in place for a number of years, and it gives school districts and foundations a great opportunity to raise significant dollars to invest in their schools, invest in their students with creative initiatives that will give us the opportunity to really serve our students well. So we're going to talk to you today about how this partnership works, why we're excited about it, and how we believe the Oklahoma Public School Foundation can really help facilitate for your district or for your school foundation this opportunity we have to tap into significant dollars that the state has set aside to make a difference in your schools. So with that, I'm going to ask Lauren to begin talking about the process. We'll open it up to questions. If you want to jump in and ask a question, it's your webinar, not ours, and we'll be glad to answer those.
Awesome. Thank you, Joe. So a little bit more about the tax credits. The Oklahoma Equal Opportunity Tax Credit bill, which is SB 1080 for the curious, was adopted in 2021. This was an expansion of an opportunity that existed for private schools into the public school space. This allows donors to give to school foundations, school districts, and educational improvement granting organizations in exchange for tax credits. This is really exciting. It allows these donations to be directed toward innovative programs that go beyond the core curriculum. And there are $25 million in tax credits available annually for this program. And in 2024, we only saw about $3 million distributed to tax credit donors.
And that's one thing I want to really focus on here is that we hope that our partnership will enable school districts to see a path forward and foundations, a path forward to really take advantage of those dollars that are out there. Those school districts that did take advantage of that $3 million, it has paid dividends in their schools. And we think that this partnership really is a vehicle that we could hit that 25 million and maybe go over the 25 million because there are dollars available out there under certain circumstances beyond that.
Yes. Yeah. So there is the $25 million cap And there's a lot of possibility there. Just a little bit of detail about how the tax credit works for donors. So donors can commit to a 2-year pledge and receive 75% of that donation as a tax credit. They can just do it as a one-off donation and receive up to 50% back in tax credits. There are some tax credit caps for different types of folks. Individuals, you can receive up to $1,000 in tax credit, couples up to $2,000, and businesses up to $100,000. So there's really significant benefits for the donor as well as the district here. And tax credits, unlike deductions, come right off the top of your tax liability. So whatever your tax bill is, you can remove this amount from that when you file your taxes, which is really exciting. There's no need to itemize anything like this. This will automatically be applied. And just as a note, after meeting the statewide cap of $25 million, school districts would be subject to a $200,000 per district tax credit cap. That won't come into effect until we hit that $25 million mark. And if we do, hit that mark, which would be so exciting, then the tax commission would then prorate down those percentages. It might be 73% versus 75. But just something of note as you're sort of thinking about this.
So that would be a really
it would be really exciting.
Exciting problem to have.
Yes.
If we hit the 25 million.
Yes.
One of the things, Lauren, that we've talked about as we've gotten into this partnership and the purposes, every donation that goes to a school is significant. And, I was fortunate enough to be in a school district that had strong PTAs that generated dollars, lots of ways. This is an opportunity really to do some big things in your district. When you think about those $1,000 or $2,000 donations for tax credits, but also when you think about this idea of how do you get your corporate community or businesses in your community engaged in that opportunity for $100,000 donations, I think, gives this idea and allows school districts, foundations to think so much bigger about that opportunity and the kinds of things that they can do. And we'll talk about that a little bit later too. But this is really a significant difference in fundraising for schools than what we're used to.
Right. Yeah, we see this as an opportunity for philanthropy in your school district and a way to, incentivize your community to invest in schools and see how great of an impact they can have in a district that, is obviously meaningful to them if they're wanting to participate in this program.
And I feel like in a lot of cases, districts already have business partners
Mhm.
that are continuing to look for additional opportunities to support the district and the work that they're
And one of the things that
doing.
we've also talked about, Christy, and we have, Lauren, is that we have some work to do, and we think our partnership gives us that opportunity actually to educate corporate or businesses around the state about what this opportunity is about. So again, with the kinds of partnerships that the Oklahoma Foundation of Excellence has and contacts within the communities, OSSBA's contacts within the communities, a big part of this, I think, is about education and getting the information out. And then I think there'll be lots and lots of interest in participation.
So Laura, we had a question about, is it dollar for dollar and how does the 75% apply? Can you walk us through an example?
Yes.
A donation and what qualifies
Yes.
for tax credit and how much would that credit
Yes.
actually be?
So if an individual wanted to receive that $1,000 in tax credit and they gave, for instance, they just wanted to do it for 1 year, they would need to give $2,000 in donation to receive that $1,000 in tax credit. That's 50% is usually the easiest one to math in your head. But there's also a list of examples on OKPSF's website. That's okpsf.org. If you'd like to see different breakdowns of the maximums for each pledge and donation type, and as well, and for the individual and business types as well, that'll break it all down for you. And it gives a little bit more detail about the specifics of what that might be.
Yeah, and there's a big difference between $1,000 tax credit on your taxes and a deduction.
Yes. Yes, it's a significant difference. It's not based on your itemization. It's not based on anything. It literally is just right off the top of your taxes, off of your tax liability. So if your tax liability is $1,500 and you qualified for that $1,000 tax credit, your tax liability would then be $500. So it's a pretty significant effect for donors.
And you think about what that does in the $100,000
or with the business.
So
it becomes very significant, especially for businesses. And it's a great opportunity for them to lower their tax liability, but also, like Chrissy mentioned, maybe invest more in a school that they're already participating in. We always encourage folks, if you want to participate in this program, to identify those existing corporate donors or corporate partners that you already have in your community and approaching them with this program, because oftentimes, there's a great benefit for everybody there.
So let's talk about what can a district do with money that it might raise through this kind of program?
Yeah, so we like to start with that any innovative educational initiative or program can be funded through this. And you might be thinking, that sounds very broad, Lauren. What does that mean? And that's to everyone's benefit, really, at the end of the day. The law was written in such a way that an innovative educational program is not specifically defined. So this could be, it could be everything from sports facilities to curriculum enhancements to, funding potentially like concurrent enrollment for high school students. Really the sky's the limit. And this is where we want to encourage you to think big, to think about your district's unique needs. The great part about this is it's not prescriptive. Nobody's telling you this is the solution. You have the opportunity to evaluate what your district needs and meet those needs specifically. It's not like we're going to say you need a teacher pipeline program or you need a STEM lab. You can sit with your educators, your community, your students, and kind of try to identify those needs and then find a unique solution for that.
I think that's a really important point. Is the definition is pretty broad, and what is innovative for one district is not for another. So it's that defining it with your community. Lots of other things that we've seen. We've seen daycare facilities being funded, STEM labs we've talked about, other broad technology initiatives that maybe beyond your financial abilities today, but certainly with an equal partner in doing that in your district, you can expand it beyond where maybe your revenues will allow you to do it at this time.
We have some districts that are supporting their aviation
programs, arts programs.
Yeah, you mentioned daycare facilities for teachers' kids. So teacher recruitment and retention from that angle. So anywhere you identify a need or an opportunity.
And again, we talk a lot about partnerships with school districts, and sometimes we have our programs where we talk about community engagement and partnerships. I've always been a big believer in it's not a partnership unless both sides get something out of it. And what a great opportunity to partner with a business in your community for something that your community has recognized as a need. Daycare for teachers, arts programs and eligibility and getting students into programs that where maybe they couldn't participate before. So there's lots of ways that these dollars can be leveraged with other dollars that you have in the district to really create broad impact. And that's the goal, is broad impact for students.
Yeah, so we really encourage you to think big, and if you have a program idea and you want to run it past us, we're always willing to give the go ahead or give you feedback on something just to make sure it aligns with the bill. But the broad nature of an innovative educational program means that most things qualify. And the one sort of caveat we like to sort of remind everybody of is that it should impact students, like multiple students, not just a singular student. I know sometimes that can get a little bit, with the existing bill, it gets a little confusing. And so we just want to make sure it impacts a broad swath of students or teachers rather than just individuals.
So before we move on, are there any questions about what might qualify or what a district or a local local education foundation could do with these directed donations?
We're just answering so many questions. They're
We're heading on.
they're stunned.
Yeah.
They're stunned.
So let's talk a little bit about how this new organization can actually help school districts and local education foundations maximize this opportunity.
But let's talk about these services. And one of the things that we kind of have felt over the last couple of years, and as we were thinking about this initiative, is sometimes when tax commissions are involved, there's laws involved, there's definitions, we become a little hesitant to participate and hesitant to take that first step. The other thing is, we all don't have staff that can do all of these different things. People are busy in schools. A lot of our foundations have a lot of people that volunteer.
Mhm.
So one of the things that we believe is that our group can really facilitate in a lot of ways this tax credit for your school district or for your foundation. And Lauren, why don't you talk about some of the things that we would do for them in helping facilitate this?
Absolutely. So one of the requirements of participation in this program is some pretty intense reporting requirements. One, you have to register with the tax commission just to start off with. You have to access their online portal and then file some reporting a few times a year. So you must conduct an audit every 4 years. This is really more impactful for the school foundation side of things, but it is something to note that you do have to conduct a financial audit every 4 years to remain eligible as a
And
participant.
for some foundations, that's been a real non-starter.
And for some districts and school foundations, that is kind of a non-starter. That's kind of where it stops. So we would conduct the audit of our organization on behalf of the clients who work with us. So that would remove that from anybody's plate who signs on with OKPSF. In addition, we also cover all of the annual reporting. So there are 2 reporting requirements put in place by the tax commission. One is an annual report of your successes, failures, and the programs supported by the funding. Additionally, you have to store, collect, and report sensitive donor data. So this includes social security numbers or tax IDs for businesses. You have to store those securely and share them with the tax commission at the end of the year so that they can receive their tax benefit. Additionally, there are some requirements of obviously notifying donors of the program, walking them through their filing and how that works for them, as well as that end of year reporting to the tax commission. Additionally, you also have to publish online publicly what you've reported to the tax commission. So that annual report on program successes, failures, and the program supported also has to be uploaded to your website. And so often the sort of culmination of all of these reporting requirements becomes a pretty heavy burden. It's quite a lot of work. And, if you have, multiple donors and multiple programs, it gets a little complicated. And so the Oklahoma Public Schools Foundation, we really see ourselves as the sort of solution to these problems. We have the administrative staff who has the experience to manage, this reporting and the administrative burden that comes along with handling sensitive donor information. We're comfortable, conducting an audit. We already do those things. So we feel like it's a great way to provide all the benefit of the tax credit program without sort of the downside of having to manage all the reporting with the tax commission, which, like Joe mentioned, a lot of the fear in adopting this program has been around the reporting requirements. People are scared to do many things with taxes, and it often sounds too good to be true to a lot of folks, and it's not. It just comes with some reporting burden that can be difficult.
And there should be.
Yes.
There should be accountability, transparency.
Absolutely.
We want to support that and be able to help schools with that. And it says what we don't do. I did sleep at a Holiday Inn Express. I might give you some tax, and I probably better not. But I will say another thing we don't do is we don't do the fundraising for schools. And we're not going to get involved interfering with fundraising of schools. We want to facilitate your dollars, get them through the process, deal with the the transparency and reporting requirements, and then get the money right back to you so that you can do what you planned. Is that correct?
Yeah, and one of the benefits of working with OKPSF is that our goal is to get that money to you as quickly and expeditiously as possible. We want this money to go into your school. There's no complicated application process to receive your funds. We will obviously set up an advanced distribution procedures for each client who works with us. But know that we have no intention of holding on to anybody's money for any length of time. We want to distribute as soon as possible because we know that that money is meaningful and really important to getting these programs off the ground.
And I want to say this, so neither of our organizations see this as a money-making initiative. There is going to be some fees that we would have to implement to make sure that we're meeting all those requirements. But our goal is to minimize those so that the most dollars available can go right back to the schools.
Yeah, and just to reemphasize, we're not fundraising for anybody. We know that your relationships with the businesses and donors in your community are really important. They're important to you. They're important to your school district, and it needs to stay that way.
Right.
Yes, and there are some materials we can provide to support that, but we won't do any sort of fundraising on anyone's behalf. But we can provide guidance and support as far as best practices and things like that.
So let's talk about how will this help students in the long run?
Well, I have my opinion. Look, we talk a lot about school funding, and we talk about the ups and downs in school funding and those kinds of things. But opportunities like this that can not only provide, in my view, not only provide financial resources to innovate and provide students with opportunities. I think one of the biggest upsides is also the engagement in your community, the engagement of your community, I should say, in your school district. The businesses that are in your community begin having ownership of the programs that you're doing. And I think that leads to a lot of other good things. We talk about bond issues and we talk about other times that we have to reach out to community. The dollars here are significant and important and shouldn't be left on the table. But there's so many other side benefits, I think, to being involved in this kind of initiative.
Yeah, the ancillary benefits, I think, are really impactful. If you're building out relationships to, have a business or an individual become a donor, inherently you're going to build more interest in your district, in your school, and what you're doing for your students in your community. One other thing I always like to point out is, the business incentive for this program is pretty high. $100,000 is a lot of money to come off of a tax liability for a business. And so I always like to highlight this is also an opportunity for your business community to invest in your future workforce. Workforce development is something we really need in Oklahoma. And this is a great opportunity for them to invest in programs that, might either encourage students to stay in state or prepare them to become, workers in our communities. And so I always like to highlight that, and really underscore that, creating this sort of culture of philanthropy within your community can really change how your community looks at your school and district and the needs you all have.
Christy mentioned the aerospace partnerships.
Yes.
And where all those people are going to come from, it's a reasonable investment for them to make in their schools.
Yes.
Well, and the simple reality is there are taxpayers and businesses that are out there actively looking for tax credits that they can take advantage of. So why not schools? Why not public schools?
I think that's a great point that, tax credits have been around in our state for years in all kinds of areas. Finally, public schools can take advantage of what other industries have taken advantage of for years and years and years. And we just have to learn how to get into it, ask for those dollars, and utilize these kinds of programs when made available to us.
And I haven't heard from a district who participate that hasn't found some success in it. Everybody's found, something that has, bettered their school or their district. It's nobody comes with the downsides, right? Like it's more money for your district at the end of the day. And so it really is, especially if you work with us, you know, and we manage the reporting and the sort of administrative requirements, it really is just going to be a net positive. Because even if you don't get a ton of money, you will have gained, you know, you'll have gained awareness, you will have gained some trust in your community, and even just sharing a little bit more about what your students need in your community.
Okay, so they've listened. They're excited, I hope, about what the possibilities are. What do they do now?
Well, if you, the best way to reach out to us is through our website. We have a great contact form on there that will collect all of your information and share that with our staff members, and that will be likely one of the quickest way to get a hold of us. You can also email us at contact@okpsf.org, or you can reach out via phone to Elizabeth Embody. She's the executive director of the Oklahoma Foundation for Excellence at that number listed there. And then Dr. Joe Siano at OSSBA.
And then I'll connect you with somebody who actually knows all the details. But I would be glad, though, to have a conversation with any superintendent or foundation executive director or leader to talk about what these opportunities can be for students and where we're seeing successes across the state.
There is a question about the percentage.
Did we have you want to address that?
Yeah, so our percentage is going to be a 7% administrative fee, just to start out with. That's where we've sort of landed as competitive, but also meeting our administrative burden that this requires.
Any other questions or thoughts you'd like to share? Or even if you're on and your district or your local education foundation has used this program, if you would like to share how it's benefited your district, I think it'd be great for others to hear about that.
I see somebody in the comments said something. Brandy? Said Brandy?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have one superintendent who said that the business said it's extremely easy for them and their accountant loves this program. Brandy, are you able to unmute and just talk about what your district has done with these new resources? Nope, she's not. Okay, but I see Amber.
I see Amber up there. She can unmute.
So obviously I'm a member of the OSSBA team, but I also have the privilege of serving as a member of the board of directors for my local public school foundation. And we have always had such a generous community that recognized the importance and the value of public education. But this program has given us the opportunity to give back in the way Joe described, where not only is it mutually beneficial, it allows for even more generous giving. And we have implemented a project that's been really beneficial for extracurricular and co-curricular activities. And it allowed us actually to partner with a group of parents who had been working on a specific initiative for a very long time and really jump-started it in a way that I think we would still be looking at 5-10 years down the road if we hadn't had this opportunity. So it's been great for us in Enid.
Yeah, I think, Amber, that's a really good point is you may have some of these things that are already in the works, but this is an opportunity to accelerate the implementation, which really, really is a big deal. Other questions? So if we're going to close in just a minute, I just want to encourage you, and those of you that are on here, and then all of the people that are in your contact circle, this is a great opportunity that the legislature has laid out there for us. I kind of personally see it as a challenge because we want to take advantage of dollars that are out there for public schools. And I'm the first one to say we're not funded well enough. We have to take, I think it's important for us to take that initiative where there are opportunities and show that every dollar that goes into the schools makes a difference for kids in any variety of programs. So encourage you to take a look at this, encourage you to contact, even if it's just for a conversation, any one of us, and maybe we can facilitate something and help you facilitate something for your kids going forward.
Yeah, we have a question about the first step. It really is, go to the OKCPSF website, fill out that contact form. If you're not even ready to do that yet, I would encourage you just to call Dr. Siano here and let him kind of talk you through what this can look like on the school district level, or of course you can contact the Public Schools Foundation at the Foundation for Excellence as well, and that would help. We do have a comment saying that they've been utilizing the tax credit program with success and have facilitated the admin process themselves. Walk me through what it would look like, starting from the point I have visited with a prospective donor who has decided they are ready to write the check. What happens next if we partner with you?
Right. So before you've spoken to a donor, we will want to, and if you've already done that, that's great too. We'd want to get with you as a district to sort of understand what programs you would want to fund through this, collect some information about those programs, you know, who they are, what they do, all of that jazz. And then once you have a donor, they would write the check. They would send us a check or an ACH payment, or, you know, however we arrange to accept funds on your behalf. We would accept that money and we would issue the donor acknowledgement, the tax information, OKPSF would, and then we would distribute to you the funds through OKPSF. Following that, there would obviously be some follow-up for reporting at the end of the year. Well, that September deadline when you have to report successes and failures. We would get with the donor to collect their personal information, their social security number or their tax ID. So really, once you've sent the donor to us, we take it from there. And we have a whole process that we would be happy to share with you. I have an outline of how that specifically works. But really, once you've identified the donor and got them on board, we'll take it from there.
And there is one step where the board would have to identify the Oklahoma Public School Foundation as their foundation for this purpose.
Mm-hmm.
So let's say you have another foundation in your school district already, but they don't really want to or have the capacity staff-wise to facilitate this. The district can still designate the Oklahoma Public School Foundation as a foundation for this purpose. And that would be one of the first steps before we could actually engage and do all those things with the money.
Yes. So there is the element of your Board of Education must approve this. We have pre-created policy that, you know, outlines OKPSF as, you know, only the sort of foundation for this specific funding opportunity. There's a board resolution that we have already ready to go for whomever wants to participate. So, you know, really it would be dependent on having that board meeting. And then from there, we could really hit the ground running. But it is a pretty, I would say it's a pretty, you know, minimal lift for clients. Really the legwork comes with the donor, you know, facilitation, getting all of that information, and then the reporting at the end. But yes, there is that sort of that setup.
And I also think, Christine, on our website, we also have some documents related to this initiative.
Yes, there are on the OSSBA website some wonderful documents that kind of outline. If you're curious as to what might be included in like the onboarding packet, there's some things there, or you can reach out to OKPSF and we actually have an onboarding packet that we can share with you that has all of the information that you would need to get started, outlines about, you know, how the process specifically works, and then some questionnaires to sort of help you think through when you're identifying programs, what that looks like, and sort of getting prepared for, you know, the actual work of this.
Great questions. I dropped a link in the chat to the Public Schools Foundation website, so please feel free to explore that. Again, you can contact them or you can contact us here at OSSBA, and we'll make sure that you get the answers to your questions and know what your best next steps are depending on where you are as a district, whether you've already done this before or maybe you're just considering it for the very first time now. So Joe, any final thoughts?
But nothing other than I'm excited to see them as many people that are on this today, and know that you have a lot of circle of influences out there. Let's pass the word on. We'd like to talk to anybody. We think we can help make a difference in your district. So thank you again. Thank you for the work that you do. And we appreciate you.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks so much.